brand new episode, and in this episode we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. Now, I've received a lot of messages asking whether Bitcoin is a good investment, whether it's a good time to buy right now, so I thought, why not make you guys a video just to explain a little bit more about what Bitcoin actually is, because you might have heard about it in the media, but you don't actually understand what it is and what it does. So in this video, we're going to be looking at exactly that: when it was founded, who it was founded by, what its user cases are, and what it aims to do. So let's begin with Bitcoin and what it is. Now, Bitcoin is actually the largest cryptocurrency in the world. It was the first one that was actually founded back in 2008, 2009 by someone called Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, it's been 12, 13 years since then, and to this day, we don't actually know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, so there's a mystery behind Bitcoin in itself. Now, Satoshi Nakamoto could be one person, it could be a group of people, it could be an institution. We don't actually know. So what Bitcoin aims to do in itself is it aims to facilitate peer-to-peer transactions, but without the intermediary involved. So let me make that a little bit simpler for you guys to understand. Now, if I want to send some money from myself to you, I would need a bank or an institution, a financial institution, to be able to facilitate that transaction to get it across to you safely. So for example, I might need Santander, NatWest, Barclays in the UK to make that transaction happen. Now, what Bitcoin aims to do, it aims to do it in a decentralized manner. So it aims to get it from me to you without the use of any financial institution and get it across to you in a decentralized manner over blockchain technology. So in essence, what they're trying to do is remove that middleman, so they have no control over your money and you're able to do with your payments and make those transactions as you wish. So it aims to basically remove that intermediary financial institution. So in essence, a great concept, but does it actually work? So the first transaction that was actually made with Bitcoin is reported to be over 2 Papa John's pizzas. And the person that actually made this first transaction used 10,000 Bitcoins to be able to make this transaction. Now, 10,000 Bitcoins today would be worth $450 million. I bet he is kicking himself over that because, well, I just hope the pizza tasted good anyway. So yeah, so Bitcoins are being used right now to be able to make those transactions. And they claim to be untraceable, so you can't trace where the money is going. So for me, whether I believe whether Bitcoin is a good technology or not, it's a great concept. I just don't like it as a long-term investment for many reasons, which I'll go into perhaps in a little bit more detail a little bit later. But the main reason being that, if you look at the financial institutions, they've been around for years, and if Bitcoin tries to eliminate those, we know that's not going to happen, right? The financial institution, the government, love to be able to have control over your money to see, where you're spending it, exactly what penny you've earned, right? When you file your taxes, you have to basically declare every single penny that you've earned, so the taxman can take from you what he's meant to take from you. Now, if you're making untrackable payments across from one person to another, that makes it very, very difficult for governments to control. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like it. But I mean, some of the pros for Bitcoin is the fact that it's been around for over 10 years. Anything that remains over 10 years or over a decade or so is obviously something's working, right? Something's good about it. I just don't like all the hype about Bitcoin, especially in the media. I feel like when something's really overhyped, it becomes into a bubble and the prices get artificially inflated. So that's some of the things that I don't like about Bitcoin. And now we're going to move on to whether it's a good investment or not, and whether you should be buying it right now or whether you should be staying away from it. I'll cover that in a little bit more detail over the technicals on the charts, and then we'll take it from there.
Right guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart on the daily time frame. So I'm going to take you back in time just to explain whether this is a good investment or not. I've given you a little bit of a background on what Bitcoin is and what it does. Obviously do your own research when you are choosing to invest in any cryptocurrency, but I've given you a little bit of a background as to what it does what it is, who it was founded by, how long it's been around, etc., etc., just to give you a little bit of a background as to what the coin actually is. So whether it's a good investment or not is the next part of this video. So we're going to go on to that now. But before I do that, I just wanted to take you back in time, just to make this point a lot clearer. Now, in a nutshell, do I think it's a good investment right now? Yes or no? In the short term, it could potentially begin to push higher. Okay, as we can see on the daily time frame, it is extremely bullish. Okay, we've actually broken the recent highs of 40k, and we've now pushed up, and we are hovering in and around the $45,000 region. So in the short term, this could definitely push up a lot higher. It could even go to 100,000. Who knows, right? But is it a good investment or not? So let's have a look at whether it is or not. So let's move on to the weekly time frame, because I want to take you back actually a few years prior to this. So let's have a look at when the last bull run happened. Okay, so if you guys remember, the last bull run happened at the back end of 2017 in and around December or January 2017-18. Now, if you look at the price prior to that, okay, even early 2017 or even before that, it was around the $1,000 region. Did anyone hear about Bitcoin 2017? They might have heard about it, but it was definitely not in the media. It was definitely not being portrayed as the next big thing. Nothing like that whatsoever. Okay, and this is why I'm bringing the media into it, because I want to explain my point about what is happening right now, and hopefully you guys will be able to then relate as to what I'm saying, and hopefully it will make sense to you guys. So Bitcoin was hovering in and around the $1,000 region in the early 2017. Now, when Bitcoin actually came into mainstream media, and you would remember if you were following it back then, I definitely was. So I remember that literally at the back end of 2017, when price started to skyrocket, it went from $1,000 and it was up and around the $5,000 to $6,000 region before it became heavily influenced by the mainstream media, and it was literally in every news tabloid, every news channel, everywhere you look, you saw Bitcoin. Now, what if you remember correctly, if you were actually tracing Bitcoin back then, literally everyone was in this cryptocurrency. Everyone started to buy Bitcoin. Grandmas, your dog, your uncle, literally everyone was buying Bitcoin. It was getting ridiculous at one point. And Warren Buffett has this very famous saying. So Warren Buffett, for those of you guys that don't know, is known as the most successful investor that has ever lived. Okay, and so don't take it from me, take it from him. He said that when people are greedy, that is the time to get out of the market, and when people are fearful, that is the time when you should be entering the market. So let's have a look at what actually happened back then, right? So $6,000 it crossed, it became heavily influenced by the media. Everyone started shouting it's going to the moon, it's going to $100,000, it's going to $20,000, $5,000, and then it's going to go to $1 million and blah, blah, blah. So people were like, okay, cool, I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy. So a lot of the people, what they were doing is, when it came into the mainstream media in and around the $6,000 region, people started saying, right, I'm going to buy this now. Or perhaps not even buy it, but start to look into it. And then it carried on rising and rising and rising, and people started going, do you know what, I need to get in this. And I personally know people that were buying in and around these regions, and a lot of people would have bought, say, in and around this region over here, right, at $18,000, because the price was just going, it was in a parabolic rise. Just doesn't look like it's going to stop. It just kept going up and up and up, and people just thought, right, the media is right. They're shouting $100,000. Of course, it's going to go to $100,000. If the media says it, it's got to be true. Everyone's shouting it. There were people in the financial industry that were saying, we're buying Bitcoin, we're doing this and we're doing that, and it's going to go to $100,000. So people thought, okay, fine. Well, everyone else is buying it. Everyone else is making money. My next door neighbor's just bought a Porsche from Bitcoin, and he's made this much, and why am I not getting involved? And this is known as something called FOMO in the investment world, which is known as fear of missing out, right? So you have that fear of missing out, like, everyone else is involved, why am I not getting involved? So then you go and buy, and a lot of people, what they did was buy in and around this region over here, right? So you have bought in and around this region over here between $18,000 to $20,000, because you're expecting this now to go to $100,000, like the media is actually claiming it's going to do. So you bought in and around this region. Now let's have a look at how long you would have now been in a loss, right? So the price only actually crossed that point earlier this year or the back end of last year. So you would have been in a loss for exactly 3 years, holding that cryptocurrency, holding your investment for a long period of time. So if you had invested, let's say $10,000 around this region over here, let's see what your investment would have been worth at the lows most of the time. So that is down by 82%, right? So your investment would then therefore be worth around $2,000, right? For 3 years, it would have been hovering between $2,000 and $5,000 to $6,000, and then it would have eventually come into break even, and now you would finally have doubled your money. Okay, you would have finally doubled your money from here to, sorry, that's the wrong one. You would have finally doubled your money from here to there as it goes up 100%, right? And currently floating at around 135% from where your investment was. So you would have been holding this coin or this investment of $10,000 in a loss for over 3 years, around 3 years, and it would have finally gone up and doubled your money after 3 years. You might be thinking, great, so what? Like if I was holding my investment in a loss, at least I didn't lose it. At least I actually made a lot of money from it, and I doubled my money in 3 years. That's a great investment, right? Yes, you're right. Doubling your money within 2 years is actually a great investment because it's not common to do. But in cryptocurrency, it's very common to do. It's so easy to double your money in cryptocurrency. It can happen in literally a day. So, but the worst point here is what a lot of people are forgetting is when this price started to go down and retrace all the way down here and fall by like 80%, which I just showed, you're forgetting about the emotions that would be involved within this investment. Because don't forget, when price started to fall here, people were then shouting, shouting, oh, this price is going up to $100,000 now. Everyone is shouting, it's going to the moon. And all of a sudden, price then just begins to fall and just hovers and hovers and hovers and never really recovers for a long period of time. And people would then begin to shout, Bitcoin's dead. It was all a bubble. It was all a joke. This isn't going to last. This is going down to zero. And a lot of people, what they started doing is panicking and selling their investment over here at a loss of around $5,000 to $6,000 to $7,000 that they would have taken over here. So when people say, so what? So what if they bought at the highs over here? They finally doubled their money in 3 years. So is that a bad investment or not? Well, you're forgetting, like I said, the psychological barriers and psychological warfare that would be happening with you if you were actually holding that investment over such a long period of time, and everyone suddenly begins to shout, actually, no, it wasn't a good investment, this is going down to zero. A lot of people actually took massive losses over here. So my point being, is it a smart investment to be buying at the highs over here, which exactly is where we find ourselves right now. So again, if we use the measure tool to see how much this price actually rose by during this bull run, it was around the 950% region. Okay, we can see that over there, where it rose from early 2017, mid 2017, before it came crashing back down. It was around 954%. Now, if we look at how much price has risen from these lows over here up until where we find ourselves now and where it reached before, it's very, very similar, right? It's 855%. And markets actually move in habitual manner, right? And what I mean by that is they more often would repeat themselves. The patterns repeat themselves over and over again, and this is why you would find technical analysis traders to be so successful, because they can recognize patterns, and patterns repeat themselves over and over again. So as we can see, price rose about 100% over there, 900% over there, and it's now currently up at 900%, 850% from these current lows, from these lows that we saw earlier last year. So we are in dangerous territory right now when it comes to Bitcoin. Like I said, it doesn't mean that this can't keep flying and keep going a little bit higher, But should you be buying really at $44,000 a Bitcoin? Now, for those of you that are new to cryptocurrency, you don't actually need $44,000 to be able to buy and invest in Bitcoin. You can invest as little as $100 into Bitcoin if you want to. And all you will do is you'll just own a small proportion of that Bitcoin. You don't actually need $44,000 to be able to invest in Bitcoin. Now, for those that are still arguing whether this is a good investment or not, so what? It took 3 years, but at least my money has doubled over 3 years. Okay, fair enough. Now, let's have a look at the investment returns that you would have received on $10,000 from the point that you would have bought at to the price where it is right now. So that is around 140%. So you would have basically on a $10,000 investment, you'd have $14,000 as your profit. Now, let's say if you could go back in hindsight, and what Warren Buffett, remember, says is basically buy when the river is red. When there's blood on the streets, that's when you should be buying, and when people get greedy, that's when you should be selling. So let's see, if you could go back in time, would you rather buy around this low over here, or would you rather be buying up here? Right. If anyone has invested before and has any knowledge whatsoever about charts, you would be saying you'd rather be buying over here, because let's have a look at what your investment would have been worth. So you'd be now 1,260% up, right? So you'd be having a return of $126,000 on $10,000 investment as opposed to $14,000. So you tell me which is a better investment, buying up here or buying down here. So that is my main point over here. But the psychological warfare that goes on and that is involved in investing normally prevents you from buying at these lows, and actually gets people involved when there is actually the media bias is pushing towards this is going to go up to the moon, this is going to fly, and this is going to go to the next point, and this is going to go to the next point, and that's when people get involved. So when people are asking me whether this is a good investment or not, just put yourself back in this region over here. Now let's say if you buy where the price is right now today, right? You buy at this level over here. Just think about where you are buying. Are you buying at the lows or are you buying at the highs? You are limiting the amount of percentage returns you can get on your investment. Now, for you to double your money, this price now has to reach around this $90,000 region for you to double your money, right? Which is just crazy. And the only reason why people would be investing right now is because of FOMO. Fear of missing out, because they've seen people on Instagram or people on the news or whatever it may be that they've made a lot of money from Bitcoin. Sometimes you have to accept the boat has gone, the boat has sailed past, and you have just missed the boat. Don't forget that there will always be other opportunities in cryptocurrency, in other stocks, in forex, in gold and commodities, etc. Now, obviously, for our gold course members that have the cryptocurrency course, we have given plenty of other opportunities for you to buy cryptocurrencies where we believe that there's going to be thousands of percentage of return, hundreds to thousands of percentage. Now, over this, you're looking at $90,000 to double your money. So for me, Bitcoin's bull run is, I'm not saying it's over, but it's already gone. Do you know what I mean? Because really and truly, if you wanted to get in, you would have had to get in around the support region over here, between $5,000 and $7,000, and you would have had a decent return up until now. However, if you're buying right now, you're really limiting your upside and you are really exposing your downside risk as well. Because what could potentially happen is what happened before, right? And you would just be stuck holding this cryptocurrency, this investment, over a long period of time, and prices begins to move down and then begins to move sideways, and you are absolutely screwed. Well, not screwed, but you are just holding a losing investment for a long period of time. So why get involved in Bitcoin when there's, like I said in the previous video, there's over 8,000 cryptocurrencies for you guys to invest in, and so many more better opportunities for you to get in at a lower price where cryptocurrencies haven't moved yet, but are more likely to follow suit and get percentage returns that are very similar to this one. So let's have a look at, for example, the cryptocurrency that I have given away on my Instagram as one of my favorites, because it does work very similar to Ripple in that it is a digital currency, but rather than work against the governments and against financial institutions, this aims to work with the financial institutions and with the intermediaries. And for me, I feel like, you know, these banks and financial institutions that have been around for hundreds of years aren't going to just go away and just lay down and let Bitcoin take over. But with something that is working with the financial institutions, I feel like it has a lot more success. And if you look at Ripple and actually research it, it's a great company and a great technology. And what it aims to do basically is facilitate cross-border international payments. So if you're sending money from, say, the UK to Dubai, and it normally takes 3 to 5 working days, we're in 2021, right? Why is cross-border international payments still taking 3 to 5 working days? It's absolutely ridiculous. When you can send a text, you can send emails, you can send whatever it may be across the pond in literally seconds. Why is payment still taking 3 to 5 working days? So that is my reason for basically, well, a very small reason. It's also very cost effective and it's very time effective, because not only does it get there a lot quicker, but actually the fees are absolutely minimal as well. So Ripple is another topic that I'm going to cover in a different video. But if we look at the Bitcoin chart in comparison to Ripple, we can see Bitcoin's highs have already been broken, the previous highs of 2017. Let me just highlight this over here, right? We can see that these Bitcoin highs over here have already been broken, right? And it has now doubled from where the highs were in 2017. So now let's have a look at where Ripple is in comparison. And it's not just Ripple, there's so many other cryptocurrencies, but again, I'm going to reserve those for the gold course members that have paid for that information, because we have given them a select few coins that we believe are going to be the future of cryptocurrencies. So those are going to be reserved, but I'm just going to look at Ripple because I've publicly given this away on my Instagram as well. So Ripple, we can see, is still hovering around these lows. If I zoom out a little bit more, we can see, even before the bull run, we were in and around the 22 to 25 cent region, and we are currently hovering just double that at 50 cents. So it still has a lot of upside potential, even just to get back to all-time highs, right? We can see the percentage gain from even here back to all-time highs would be around 500%. So that would be 5 times your money, right? So for you to 5 times your money on Bitcoin, your Bitcoin would have to go to $200,000 plus, whereas Ripple would only just have to reach all-time highs. And if it does anything like Bitcoin has, where it would basically doubled its all-time highs, it would go to $6, and your percentage returns then would be a lot more, right? So if we look at where that would take us, that is 1,000%, 10 times basically your money. So if you invested $10,000, you'd have $100,000 if Ripple does exactly what Bitcoin does. So my point being with this whole video is, why buy at these highs over here on Bitcoin, right? Why buy at these highs over here? These highs over here. These highs have already been annihilated and broken out of. Why buy at these highs over here and expect the price to reach $200,000 for you to 5x your money, 5 times your money, when you can invest in other cryptocurrencies with great potential, that are great cryptocurrencies as well, that have a future. Again, do your own research. Again, I'll do another video on Ripple in the future to explain Ripple in a bit more detail, but this video is all about Bitcoin. I just want to show you in comparison, why would you then wait for Ripple to get over here? Why not invest at the lows? And it still has that move to come. That move's not happened yet in Ripple, right? Let's not forget that. Let's not forget it's not happened in a lot of the other cryptocurrencies. So why not buy at these lows over here, right, where we are right now? Why not buy there rather than buy in a cryptocurrency that, not only has it broken all-time highs before, but it's way, way up there, right? Why would you do that? Why would you limit your upside potential as opposed to something that is, so low right now? And it's not just Ripple, there's so many other cryptocurrencies out there that are in the same position that haven't yet experienced the bull run. And like I said, cryptos, markets all move in tandem. They all move in habitual manner. Like I said, there's patterns all the time. And we saw Ripple and other altcoins rise after the Bitcoin pump back in 2017. So this year for me, and this time of the time that we find ourselves in right now within the cryptocurrency market is no different to what it was in prior to 2017, right? So I expect the altcoins to be following suit after Bitcoin's bull run. So Bitcoin's bull run has already risen, and if you haven't watched the Bitcoin dominance video, then please go back and watch that, because that explains when the altcoins are likely to rise. So for me, in a nutshell, I'm not a big fan of Bitcoin. I think most people know that. Publicly, I feel like it, in the long run, is not a great investment, especially with the price that it's at right now. And people are shouting $1 million, they're shouting $100,000, and basically suckering people into buying here. One thing that you have to remember is the media is not always correct. Media is not always on your side. Do not believe what you see all the time. Everything that you hear on the news is not correct, okay? Because remember, over here, this is why I'm bringing the past into it, because it can happen again in the future. And everyone was shouting $100,000 over here. And what happened? For 3 years, the price was hovering around the $4,000 to $6,000 region. Literally, for 3 years, doing absolutely nothing. So you don't want to fall into the same trap again, right? Buying at these highs over here for the same thing to happen to you again, right? And it could just hover in and around this region, or even fall even below that. And you'd be stuck in a huge loss, holding a position, waiting for the market and praying for the market to break back above this region just so you can break even and fall into profit. So why would you do that when you've got so many other cryptocurrencies that you can invest in that haven't yet had the bull run, and you still have the opportunity to catch them at the lows, maximize your returns, rather than go and invest in something just because it's in the media, just because it's being pumped, just because it's the well-known currency out there, right? There's 8,000 other cryptocurrencies out there for you guys to invest in. So for me, the media attention is great. It's bringing a lot of new investors. It's bringing a lot of institutional investors and institutional smart money into the cryptocurrency world. However, Bitcoin for me right now is not a smart investment because of where we currently find ourselves in. And don't forget, what we saw in the past before can actually repeat itself in the future. So for me, I would look at altcoins now. I think Bitcoin's had its bull run. I don't think it's finished, but it could potentially begin to fall from this region. I don't think it's a smart investment to be getting into Bitcoin at these highs when you've got so many other possible alternatives. So I hope you guys found that useful. We'll see you on the next video.